Good evening, Gwinnett County. Thank y'all for joining our Snellville City Council Meet the Candidates Forum. We got this will be what they call in baseball a doubleheader tonight. So first hour will be post 4 for Snellville City Council, which includes City Council candidate Dan Russell and also City Council candidate CJ Pitts. In the second hour, which will be our 8 o'clock hour, will be the current incumbent, Mr. Ty Warner, and also City Council candidate or candidate for City Council, Ms. Catherine Hardrick. So at this time, definitely want to do a few announcements before we bring in the post 4 candidates. So a couple of announcements. The upcoming on October the 12th, Sunday, we do have our upcoming City Council candidate forum for Lawrenceville, which we will have both post 4 and 5 for the City Council for Lawrenceville. That'll be on Sunday at 7 p.m. right back here on our Facebook Live, YouTube Live page, as well as on Twitter. We'll be live for that particular forum. That'll be for our Meet the Candidates forum for City Council candidates. That'll be on Sunday. And then we do have a couple of other in-person events coming up. Our town hall will be on October the 14th, which will take place at the Norcross Cultural Arts Center. Is the Power of the Ballot. There we'll be educating voters on why it's important to vote and just pretty much emphasizing why there's power in the ballot, why there's power in voting. And so it'll be a great town hall that'll be in partnership with NCNW, League of Women Voters, North Metro Panhellenic, as well as United Ebony Society, Galeo, and AAAF. So definitely tune in and join us for that town hall taking place at 6 o'clock at the Norcross Cultural Arts Center on 10 College Street in Norcross. Please RSVP for that event by going to bit.ly/power of the ballot. And that's bit.ly/power of the ballot. So please definitely join us for that particular town hall on October the 14th at 6 p.m. at the Norcross Cultural Arts Center. Finally, our general meeting has been moved to October the 16th, which is next week's Thursday. I know we typically meet every second Thursday at GJAC. That will not take place this week due to the state convention, the Georgia NAACP State Convention, which will be held at the Marriott Gateway out there by the airport, Atlanta Airport. So we will not be having our regular general meeting this coming Thursday. It has been moved to October the 16th at 7 p.m. in Conference Room A. So we will have a recap of the banquet as well as additional upcoming events and upcoming activities with the branch that we're going to be involved in. So you're definitely welcome to come out to that meeting. We typically provide food, and there'll also be food at the Power of the Ballot town hall that we're going to have. That'll be an opportunity for voters to come and join us, address any concerns that you have in the community, ask the panel any additional questions in regards to the upcoming elections in November, whether it's the municipal elections like the ones in Snellville or Lawrenceville or Suwanee or Decula or Grayson, or the Public Service Commission election, or East Blos, which is also on the ballot this fall. So that is all of the upcoming events that to speak to. So at this time, I'm going to ask that we bring the candidates on stage now. All right. So to just give everybody the level set where we're at, this is the post 4 city council candidates that'll be in the first hour. We have Mr. CJ Pitts and Mr. Dan Russell, who are vying to represent you on the city council for post 4. Post 5 will be in our second hour, which will be the current city council member, Mr. Ty Warner, and Catherine Hardrick, who's the candidate running for that spot for post 5. So they will be in our second hour. In our first hour, we have Mr. CJ Pitts and Mr. Dan Russell. So at this time, I will give them 2.5 minutes to introduce themselves, let them talk about why they're running. And I guess since it's on my screen from left to right, Mr. Pitts, you're up first.
Okay, well, thank you first, Mr. Russell. How you doing, sir?
Good.
Thank you, NWCC. I apologize. I should have gave you time to finish. Thank you, NWCP, and all the audience that might be zooming in, listening now. My name is Shantae C.J. Pitt. I'm retired United States Army. I just recently retired about 3 years ago. After my retirement, I waited for about 18 months. My wife kind of got tired of me being around the house. Everyone kind of warned me of that. So right about 18th month, I went out and I started in the school, the education system. So I ended up working for Gwinnett County. I started up as a behavior observationist, and I finished that and I went into substitution, which I really enjoyed because it gave me the opportunity to go around to different schools, see different kids, and kind of see how, even within Snellville, how, certain kids might act just a slight, a little bit different than the ones maybe at the school that I was at. In between my retirement, I was my school's PTO president. I also sat on my girls' high school PTSO board. I worked also for summer camp here at Briscoe Park. I was the summer camp director for a season and a half. I also sit on a couple of other different school boards, the school council, the parent school cluster. I sit on the Ronald Reagan board. I sit on about 4 to 5 boards, but all the boards I sit on is based in community, is about community. So that's my number one priority. I believe in community first. I believe in order for us to strive to meet that goal of community back into government, where it always started. The NAACP was always known for pushing communities and getting communities involved, not just at the neighborhood level, but at the church levels, getting everyone involved in politics and getting the people moving. And I believe that we lost a lot of that thunder and glow, and I believe that we can bring it back here in Snellville. So my number one priority, I don't have an agenda about anything besides bringing my expertise as a father. I'm a father of 5. I am a husband. I'm retired, and like I said, right now I'm currently in the education system as an educator. So those are the things I want to bring to the Snellville City Council. I think we have enough representation on a political level, so I think it's about time for community to get back involved, and I feel like I'm that representation of community.
All right, you beat the timer, so thank you for that. All right, so Mr. Dan Russell, you got 2.5 minutes. Tell us why you're running. Introduce yourself to the city of Snellville as well as Georgia and Gwinnett County at large, and why you're running.
Good evening, everyone. I'm really delighted to be here. Thank you for inviting me again. Thank you, Mr. President. By the way, this is post 3 and not post 4.
Sorry.
I've lived in Snellville for almost 30 years. I own a business here. My children graduated from school in this area. And like you, I believe in strong schools and vibrant and safe communities and helping small businesses to strive. Listen, I'm not a politician. I'm your neighbor who's willing to serve. Although I'm a retired financial professional, I'm driven by my Christian values and my faith. I'm a member of Historic Ebenezer Baptist Church, where I serve on the Board of Deacons. I'm the church treasurer. Pastor Raphael Warnock is my pastor who supports this effort. Social justice is in the Ebenezer's DNA, and I'm proud to be a member of that church for the last 42 years. I'm running for city council because I believe in serving with integrity and making city government more accountable to you. It's time to put people above politics. And let me just say this. I am in support of the NAACP mission to fight for equity and inclusion for everyone, particularly the least of these. I will fight for social justice, which is founded on the principle that every individual is entitled to equal rights and the opportunity across economic, political, and social spheres. What I will fight for beyond that, I will fight to put a moratorium on building townhouses in Snellville. Smart growth that provides affordable housing without adding to traffic congestion in the city. Job opportunities that benefits everyone. Supporting first responders and improving safety in neighborhoods so that we all will feel safe in our homes. And finally, physical responsibility and accountability on how our hard-earned dollars are being spent. So, to say something about me, I'm all in for the citizens of Snellville. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you for your support. Go to danrussellcitycouncil.run.com to find out more information. Thank you.
You barely made it. Appreciate that, though. All right, so let's jump into some questions. And Mr. Russell, I'll start with you first, since you already, are on the floor. So first thing is, Snellville passed, at least proposed, shall I say, to maintain its current millage rate for 2025, which basically translated to a modest increase over the rollback rate of 1.83% for many of the homeowners. So do you agree with the city council decision to maintain the current millage rate, or should the city consider raising or lowering the rate? Why or why not?
That's an important question. Let me just say, the millage rate is 4%.
Mm-hmm.
The question I have for you is that when we vote for somebody in this position, that we have to be sure that we vote for somebody that knows the difference between a mileage rate and a millage rate. That's the first thing I would mention.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just say that the citizens of Snellville for the last 2 years, as I recall, had a 4% millage rate. That equates to about a 40% budget. 16% of that is from, a part of that is from the millage rate. About 6.2% is from the millage rate. You got 2.2% from fines and from the police department and so forth. So I think it's a good rate. I think that the citizens of Snellville are pleased that the rate did not increase to cause their mortgage payments to go up.
Okay. Same question to you, Mr. Pitts. Mr. Pitt. I'll reread the question because it was kind of a long question. So it says Snellville is proposing to maintain its current millage rate of 4% for 2025, which translates into a modest increase over the rollback rate of 1.83% for many homeowners. Do you agree with maintaining the current millage rate, or should the city raise or lower it? Why
not? As of now, I agree with it maintaining where it's at. Separate from millage rate, anybody in Gwinnett County, especially here in Snellville, we see our property taxes climbing. Even though separate and different from what's going on with the millage rates, when people get these bills in the mail, they're not going to look and say, hey, this is just for my millage rate and my property tax. And most of us are not going to ask how those two things are intertwined. So when you're dealing with the average citizen, with us, mostly us citizens, we're looking at our property tax going up right now, along with other things that's going up, that's causing a lot of angst in a lot of families right now. So anything that might make anything move more further up, I think it'll cause an uproar here in Snellville. Mr. Russell touched a little bit already on the building. That's one prime example of like things changing that might seem or be good for Snellville. But when something increases too much, too fast of a rate, along with everything else that's going on globally, or actually nationally here in America, it gives people pause. So anything dealing with an increase right now, especially without taking a lot of information. I used to do contracts when I was in the Army, so we know how money moves and how numbers can move left or right. So my biggest thing with our voters and always being honest is actually you have to be there, see the numbers, see the information, so the voters can get an informed decision based off the reasoning that we see and not necessarily based off the emotions. But we do know voters see emotions first. So I believe the millage rate should definitely pause and stay the same where it's at now, so that taxpayers don't see any more increases across the board that might cause us to already might cause anxiety to go up even more. And usually when your anxiety go up, even if you have the money or the ability to pay these taxes, you don't feel good and you don't feel like you have it. And that goes into your overall, your wellness, goes to your overall productivity. So I'm for keeping it the same. And once, the information is presented, looking at that information and making an informed decision to our voters then.
All right. So that was the timer. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next question. Y'all do got 2 minutes between questions, And for those who may be having, it looked like we had an issue with the Facebook connecting to the stream, we will be dropping a link to go to YouTube shortly and watch the rest of the program. So moving on to the next question. If revenue is tight, and Mr. Pitt, you can stay on there to answer this question. If revenue is tight, which services or program would you consider trimming or restructuring? We know there's been a lot of cutbacks to federal funds that typically get passed down to the local level. Even the state is talking about cutting back as the budget, and that could put pressure on city councils like Snellville to make certain cuts to certain services or things that they typically provide in the effort to kind of sponsor things that are needed. So given the fact that we're in this climate where the revenues coming from the federal and possibly even the state level are going to be reduced and coming into the council, and we're not, both of you and Mr. Dan Russell say y'all not looking to raise prices on taxpayers to compensate that, what services would you consider either cutting or reducing in the effort to make sure some of the things that are needed are maintained?
Well, that's a good question. When we pay taxes, we pay for a lot of these services. So the same thing almost with taxes. When you start talking about taking away services, especially services that citizens relied on the entire time, services that we become accustomed to, then any service cut can cause, again, a lot of angst amongst people. The service that I kind of see where we can probably just draw back on a little bit, to be fair, honest, I really don't see one. I actually came in here prepared to talk about increasing certain services to help clean up the community. So this service, as far as cutting services, I prefer to see where we can maintain our services. If there's a service that must be cut, in which we have no choice, to be fair, I would have to go and see how many services that Snellville, do give to the citizens. I know as part of the Commerce Club, we have a robust nonprofit organization here in Snellville, from senior citizens, nonprofit organizations, to helping the youth, to sports, to medical equipment. Snellville has an extremely generous population, and we believe in actually helping out each other and looking out for each other. So due to that, I believe that, even that's what I mean. I was coming here and prepared to say, how can we focus more on our nonprofits that's actually comes to Snellville with that understanding that we enjoy them, we need them here, and they actually provide a lot of services, from feeding the hungry here in Snellville to ensuring there's places for homeless to go. So there's not too many services I can think that Snellville provides that is not needed here and that the citizens is not used to. So in other words, for now, I don't see where Snellville, again, unless I get the information, wastes its money on any services that the citizens do not rely on and do not accept as something we should as taxpayers here in the city.
Okay. All right. So same question to you, Mr. Russell, and I'll reread the question just for clarity. We know about some of the federal cuts that are happening from this current administration. The state, Governor Kemp has mentioned in the upcoming budget for 2026, they're going to be looking to make some cuts at the state, which means there's less funding coming in to the local level. So are there services or programs that you would either consider trimming or restructuring that Snellville currently has in place now in order to make up for that cost? Because if both of you have stated you're not looking to raise taxes, but again, if you're going to have less money coming in than what you had last year, what services or programs that Snellville has that could be reduced or restructured in order to make up that difference, since those federal funds look a lot different in 2026 than it would probably 2 years ago in 2024, even in 2025?
Yeah, that's a very good question. But let me just say this. It's always intrigued me. I get that question asked a lot. And so I think as a city council person, you have to collaborate with the board and the mayor and so forth to get things done. But I think it's important to know how the person that you elect, how they think. And I think if you know me more about me, it would give you insight on how I would vote on these issues. And these are very important issues. And let me just say that again, I'm driven by my Christian values and my faith, and my background in business and my work experience, my education as an accountant and my MBA, my executive MBA, and my family values. So that's tell you how I think and how I would form my point of view and my decision. Let me just say, Snellville budget is passed. It's done. For 2026, it's sketched in stone. So now there are some things that could come up, but Snellville is investing in the community that will bring in tax revenue, especially if you look at the developments that's coming online. You have a development, I'm not sure you're familiar with Snellville, but over by the Ryans, there's some apartments coming online there and mixed community there. There's some mixed community coming behind United Methodist Church, behind Main Church on the Main. So that revenue is going to be generated by that those properties coming online. But right now, Snellville is, I believe, because the budget is again passed for 2026, we're in pretty good shape. And your question was about 2026. I think we're in pretty good shape. I don't think we need to cut anything right now. We have the revenue that the city council voted on to take care of all the expense that will be incurred in 2026.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna rephrase it, Mr. Russell. You can stay there. So I'm gonna rephrase the question just so we can make sure we're clear. So yeah, I'm aware that Snellville has already, because typically the way city councils, county commissioners, board of education, pretty much whatever budget being passed is for the upcoming year, not the year that they have the vote in. So I'm more or less talking about both of you all are running for city council, right? Trying to be the candidate for post 3. So I'm gonna ask the question a little bit differently and I'll frame it better. So if elected, sworn in 2026, you're gonna have to make decisions for 2027 on certain services due to like I said, some of the cuts happen at the federal and state. So I'll rephrase the question this way. Given that there's going to be some city budget constraints and all city councils across Georgia are going to have to face this, how would you prioritize municipal spending? Would you put more money? Would roads be the priority? Would parks be the priority? Would public safety be priority? Would infrastructure be the priority? What would be the main priority in terms of what you would how you would prioritize the city's budget for 2027 in 2026 once sworn in, if elected as city council candidate?
Look, let me just say this. My vote would be no on cutting anything, because I know that Snellville have the resources to cover all this expense. And just looking at the budget, $40 million budget, $6 million of that coming from.
Well, I wouldn't frame it as cuts, and I don't mean to cut you off, and I'm gonna give you time back, so I'm gonna stop the timer. I'm saying, what would you prioritize then? What would be your priority between roads, parks, public safety, infrastructure? What would be?
Well, I think I said that earlier, but I will focus primarily on number one. This is important to me. Is put a moratorium on townhomes being built at Snellville.
Okay.
And that's the first thing. The next thing is to you want to look at smart growth that provides affordable housing for the residents without adding a lot of traffic congestion to the city. And you want to make sure that the money that is coming in, that you have good physical responsibility and accountability on how the money that is coming in is being spent. So there's controls that needs to be put in place. So that would be my focus. But my biggest focus is that how can we bring all this development in Snellville, make sure they're affordable housing for everyone, mixture of course, and make sure the revenue covers the expense of the city.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Pitts, I'm going to restart the clock. Ask the same question. What will be your budget, given that there will be budget constraints going into next year across Georgia for all city councils, council members? How would in the city of Snellville, how would you prioritize the city spending? Would it be more invested in roads, parks, public safety, infrastructure? What would be your main priority if you had to pick a set of priorities that you're going to prioritize if elected as city council?
I would definitely, well, not say definitely. I would start with public safety first, as far number one on the list. Everybody knows that's something that's almost a taboo item or even position to take. Everybody wants to feel safe in their city. That's just something that most people are, just like the school system. Most people are willing to pay a little bit on one side or the other in order to ensure that public safety is our number one priority. That leads into safety in our communities, that leads into safety in our school systems. Interesting enough, I just actually had a Commerce Club meeting today. One of the things that they spoke about that would be on the ballot this upcoming season is the SPLOST funds. I did not know what SPLOST funds were prior to today, which is also a good plug. One of the things that Snellville provide here for free is the Commerce Club. We have CEOs, principals, just a whole host of people from every industry comes to our clubs to speak to us. So one of the ones we had today talked about the SPLOST funds and how those funds, which is a 1% sale tax, anybody who comes to Gwinnett County, no matter what state you're from, what county you're from, if you spend money here in our county, those funds go directly to our schools, to the infrastructure, to building new schools and playgrounds and all those items. So by understanding that those funds exist, and I believe this goes towards also Mr. Russell, that our city council so far, from what we see in the budget that printout that we received, has been modest and good with managing the even forthcoming understanding of where we would have been in 2027. But tariffs have raised faster than anybody can keep up with. So public safety, I think, is one of those things that's always guarded. The second thing I think that we should definitely work on is probably increasing the roads. I know that's different pots of money. You have Department of Transportation, state.
All right, trying to meet mine for the time. All right, so we'll pivot to our next question, and then Mr. Pitts, you can stay there, and then we'll proceed. So in Snellville in 2020, the mayor and the council unanimously passed a resolution condemning racism, committed to creating a more citizens advisory board to address race relations in Snellville. How effective has the city been in following through on that commitment, in your opinion?
Well, I retired in 2021. Me and my wife brought it home here in 2019. So we came back and forth in that time. So to be fair, about 2021, when we moved back here, I can tell you from talking to a lot of parents and a lot of residents that's been here for a long time, Snellville was different just 10 years ago. Snellville was different 15, 20 years ago. And therefore, because it was different, those issues did exist. As clearly a Black male myself, I cannot attest to specifically Snellville, but we all can attest to these things actually existing in different pockets across this country. I've lived from as far east as Virginia, of course, and as far west as West Virginia. As Washington State, as far as west as Washington State, and as far as close to the border as El Paso, Texas. So I've been around. I've seen a lot of different people, and I got to enjoy a lot of different cultures. I've been to a plethora of different countries. But talking to a lot of Snellvillians today, they see the change. Our statistics bear out that change. If a lot of people don't know, statistically speaking, Snellville is 40% African American, 38% Caucasian. Then the next highest population is our Asian population, and then the other. So as far as what we looked like 10 years ago, when a lot of people moved here and they definitely probably faced those injustices compared to where we at now, I can only attest to where we at now. And right now, not just bear out the statistics, when you're out in the community, you see these statistics bear out. If anybody ever been to our festivals, you see our people jamming together. It's never an issue here, for the most part, at our festivals with all arrays of people being here dancing together. So as of now, I think that the leadership that's been in charge the last few years, whoever it might have been, did a great job with seeing that in the past and ensuring that the African-American community, as well as other minority communities, was incorporated into Snellville now.
All right, thank you. I'll repeat the question for you, Mr. Russell. In 2020, Snellville mayor and the council passed unanimously a resolution condemning racism and committed to creating a citizens advisory board to address race relations. How effective has the city been, in your opinion, following through on that commitment?
Well, while Snellville has not been the center of major social justice controversies, it has acknowledged broader issues and responded, I think, very good in 2020 when the city passed a resolution condemning racism and reaffirming its commitment to justice and civil rights for all residents. Now, Snellville's resolution and police department policies emphasizing transparency and exceeding state training requirements suggest a commitment to progress. However, systematic issues across the state invariably affects local communities, and continued engagement, policy reform, and community dialogue are essential to ensuring equity and justice for all the citizens of Snellville. And I've been to many meetings, and a lot of conversation comes up about what happened last year on Juneteenth. I don't know. I don't recall anything per se, but a lot of African Americans complain about how that holiday was treated in the city of Snellville. So there are issues. Some of them are statewide, but there are issues, but they're not beyond working those out with the citizen of Snellville. Everybody, I think it's important that the citizen of Snellville come together and shape Snellville's future the right way together as we look beyond today. You want me to talk some more? Do you hear me? I can't hear you, Mr. Paul. I could talk some more. You want me to tell you about my grandkids? I can tell you about my grandkids.
Sorry about that. Sticking along those same lines, would you support expanding the role or power of that advisory board? If so, how that Snellville created?
So you really have to look at when you talk about these issues. These are big time issues, and I think we all know this is a transitional area. But I think I look at 4 pillars, right? And it's all driven by social justice, the principles of social justice, which is equity, ensuring fair distribution of resources and opportunities, access, providing all individuals with the necessary means to participate fully in the affairs of Snellville, participation, encouraging the involvement of all individuals in decision-making process that affect their lives and our community. And we're doing a lot of that. And finally, human rights, upholding and protecting the rights of all individuals, recognizing that social justice and human rights are inextricably connected. So those would be the things that I would take hard looks at in terms of how do we address the social issues in Snellville and be consistent in the way we treat all the citizens of Snellville the same way.
And we got a few more seconds left on your time, but to answer the question, would you be in favor of expanding the advisory board, or do you feel like it's fine the way it is now? Do you think there needs to be any changes in terms of the role that the advisory board that Snellville created in 2020? I mean, what's your opinion just specifically on the advisory board?
Expansion on the board is not necessarily is the answer to your issue. You could expand the board and bring in 50 people, but that doesn't mean that you're going to solve 50 problems. So sometimes you have to take a look at the board itself and see if it's effective. What you're trying to do is bring the citizens of Snellville together, the people of Snellville working together. And you see that a lot in the city of Snellville now. But it's not changing or expanding the board that would make a difference, right? It's the people that you have on the board and what their purpose are.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Pitts, same question to you. would you support expanding the role or power of this advisory board? Do you think it's fine where it's at? What's your opinion on the current advisory board that Snellville voted on in 2020?
I think it should stay where it's at. Like I said, when you look at the actual increases of equity that has occurred, I mean, we all can always agree that more can be done, more is needed. But it's across the board in a lot of industries, not just in the African American, it's in the women industry. More need to be done, more is needed for them. When you look at a lot of statistics, we have work to do. But again, if we're talking about improvement, you can't look at Snellville just 10 years ago and compare it to now and not see that improvement. Again, our numbers bear that the improvement has occurred. Again, I would tell everyone here, and especially our Snellville voters, that I would owe them my education completely on this board and see exactly, Mr. Russell also touched this, kind of see what is the effectiveness of this board. Is it consistent? Do we still need it? If Snellville feel like we're where we supposed to be now, that indeed everyone is someone, everyone is loved here, then the board might be expanded. That could, especially looking to see, are we funding that board? Unfortunately, that might be one of the boards, go to the question you're talking about earlier, that we can look at if it's for Snellville budget, if it's not needed, because Snellville is where it needs to be at. So like I said, those little things that sometimes that's city specific, that's on budgets that might hurt us if we take away those services. That board might be specific to Snellville, and taxpayers might be paying $10,000 a year towards that budget on one of the line items that's on the budget bill. And that's the case, that might be a service we might not need anymore. But I don't know if those things are on there. Those one of the things you can look at to see. But as of now, based off when I moved here, retired and came to Snellville, I enjoy my little piece of heaven here. Again, like we can always say there's things they can move forward, but a lot of the people I meet in the community is a great representation of the people that comes from the community. The Commerce Club, again, the Commerce Club is a great representation of what our community business leaders and nonprofits all look like. And you come there, you will see that they are definitely a representation of our 40% population here.
All right. Thank you for that. And kind of coming to one of the things that I think you or either Mr. Russ, I think it was Mr. Russ that touched on earlier. Let's talk about affordable housing. And then Mr. Pitt, you can we'll go in reverse order again. How would you approach ensuring affordable housing and housing diversity? We know there's a lot of development coming into Snellville, but there's not a lot of affordable housing on this side of the county, specifically in Snellville. What would be your approach, or how would you approach that if elected as city council for post 3?
Well, I definitely would like to first start to say I have been consistently, since the moment I moved back to Snellville in 2021, against the building. It has not been something that changed in my mind or my heart, but I do understand how I personally feel versus what's needed for the city to grow are two different things. Nothing has ever changed about my understanding of the pause and the stop building here. I spoke at city council over 2 years ago about, and this was during the time of the Lenore Church building and Hickory Hills building. I spoke about 2 years ago. I kind of made my position clear at that time about how I feel about the building. But after 2.5 years of consistently going to city council meetings, and I do mean consistent, in 2.5 years, you start to learn how your government works at your city level, not at your state level, not at the national level, but here at the city level. And, I learned a couple of things by going to these city council meetings and sitting in. So overall, when it comes to 2-3 years ago, there was a big uproar with development. A lot of people wanted development, and they wanted urban development, and they wanted low cost development. But then if you're going to strike a tone of the stop the build and no building here, then that means you have to be for no development. If people look, and again, in statistics, because information matters, Snellville is a city that is family driven. You have some cities that are youth driven. A lot of our college towns in downtown Atlanta. I used to teach at Georgia State and Georgia Tech. That whole area is nothing but young college kids. And if you want that urban lifestyle with the party scene and the club, then those cities are built for those things. Here in Snellville is built on the premise that we are a family, And therefore, those are the type of values that we seem to want to draw to Snellville. Our average income is $88,000, and our predominant population is married here. So your city development is going to be based off where the citizens want to see city. Oh, that's too many.
Appreciate you. All right, Mr.
Yes,
Dan
sir.
Russell, let's throw the same question to you. How would you approach ensuring affordable housing? We talk about all the development, but the biggest concern with all the development here in places like Snellville is concerns with pricing people out, especially working class and poor people. So how would you approach ensuring that, Snellville does have some affordable housing available, and not just, people coming in, bringing in super expensive townhomes and apartments?
So first of all, I think you have to have a mixture of affordable houses as well as your high end and so forth. But I think you have to be smart on this. That's why I use the term smart growth. You're going to grow. Snellville is growing. So, and you got to make sure that there's a mixture of affordable housing, like for instance, the project there at Ryan's, they're building townhomes and apartments. And so, but I was at the city council meeting a few weeks ago, and they approved high-end townhomes to be built in a neighborhood where people did not want those townhomes. And the answer to the people that was there saying we don't want these townhomes is that we don't control the roads, we don't control the schools, but we can control what type of development come in your area. So if that's the case, if I have that as a city council person, I will make sure that my vote is for a mixture that you have affordable housing as well as and I think you're right. This is a family community, but Grayson is a family community. People could go somewhere else. Lawrenceville is a family community, so people could go somewhere else. So we need to have a mixture of affordable housing. I will work to bring smart growth to Snellville with affordable housing, but also with a mixture of homes as well.
Okay. All right. You beat the timer. Thank you for that. So I don't see any particular questions in the chat. I do see a comment that from someone about the millage rate that commented about that from earlier. So I'm gonna keep going. We do got, we are coming close to the end of our first hour for post 3 for Snellville City Council. So do got another question, and Mr. Russell, I'll keep you on stage to answer this one. You talked about earlier about smart growth and development. What role do you feel like the city council should play in having smart growth and development for the city of Snellville?
But and don't miss this point, because this is very important. The citizens of Snellville, I would represent the citizens of Snellville. So I'm not the Lone Ranger making these decisions for whoever is pulling my string. I will work for the citizens of Snellville and bring growth that is pleasing to them, as well as to revenue to the city, as well as making Snellville continue to be a safe and inviting place to live. And so you got to collaborate. You got to collaborate with your community. You got to meet with your community. You got to go out in the community, and you got to collaborate with the rest of the board to make smart growth a possibility in Snellville.
All right, thank you for keeping the time. Same question I throw to you, Mr. Pitt. How would you? What role do you feel the city council should play in the growth and development of Snellville?
It's important to know, like you said, what role can your city play? Cities also limited to the roles they can do. A lot of times it's about changing ordinances. You got ordinances, growth that's.
All right, Mr. Pitt. with your video, you kind of freezing, and we can't really make out what you're saying. I'm actually to just, if you'll come out and come back in,
okay.
We'll try to get you back in. If you'll just come out of the and then come back in, and then hopefully we can get you try to, I guess, speak now before you leave, see if you're good. And I'm gonna reset the timer for you since it did, you know. Can you hear me?
It's still frozen.
Okay,
yeah, I can hear you.
All right, go ahead and you can answer the question. I'm gonna reset the timer. Go ahead.
Is it still frozen?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, go ahead and we can hear you, even if it sounds like you're a little bit froze.
I'm sorry, sir. Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, I can repeat the question. What role do you feel the city council plays in the development? Like, what role do you in the development of the city? Y'all both talked about, you know, the city having a lot of growth in Snellville. So, what role do you feel like the council plays in sort of either guiding that growth?
Well, I think our first role is bringing the information to the citizens, allowing the citizens to understand it. Citizens here in Snellville over the last few years, when they when you go to the city hall meetings consistently, you get to hear from each different community and how they see their city growing. You have some people that's for the growth, some people that's dead set against it. You know, their neighborhood might have been a part of the growth 5 years ago that others will probably dead set against. And your job bring the information to the people. The person that wanted to build in my specific area, when they came to the city hall meeting, it was that specific person that kind of gave me lawful understanding. It wasn't the information presented to the city council. When that person came, they stated how their father brought that in the 70s for family and generations family to enjoy. And he sold that land because of the generational wealth his family would then have. So you can't stop a person on the land from selling it. Your city council job is ensure that they sell it in the lawful and legal confines of city ordinances, your state, and your federal and all those good things. But to ensure that the things are built within those specifications. So your ordinances is what's important. A lot of people here in Snellville might not Centralville, they have a crematory possibly going up. People had no voice or limited voice. The ordinances were not changed to ensure that space was made for quality homes and or townhomes, or even in that case, affordable housing.
Okay, so it looked like we lost Mr. Pitt due to his connection. So at this time, Mr. Russell, we kind of coming to a close on the program, and hopefully we can get Mr. CJ Pitt back in to finish close us out here. But at this time, I'm gonna reset the timer for 2.5 minutes to give any closing remarks that you would like to make to the voters in your support for running for city council.
But let me just say thank you, NAACP, for inviting me. And I was just thinking, you know, what if there was no NAACP? There would be no Brown versus the Board of Education. Perhaps the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and 1965 and the many civil rights cases defended by the NAACP. In my opinion, this country owes a debt of gratitude to this organization. The work that you do in voter registration and talent and voter suppression is remarkable. And not only that, but what people don't know, that the scholarship that you provide to young people and assistance to small businesses is just extraordinary. So we want to thank you, and I'm so glad to be a part of this forum tonight. But citizens of Snellville, we're going to shape Snellville future the right way together. And I invite you to join my campaign, which is grounded in the truth. The truth matters. And so I invite you to come to my website, danrussellcitycouncil.com. You could volunteer, you could donate, and I'd love to have you to join my campaign. Thank you so much for inviting me, and God bless you.
As always, you're good on beating that time. All right, Mr. CJ Pitt. I'm sorry you got cut off. So we kind of at the end of the program. So you'll get 2.5 minutes to give the voters a reason why they should be supporting your campaign and supporting you for post 3 for Snellville City Council.
All right, thank you so much. Just finish off the last quick statement again. So long story short, City Council job is here to guide the people and get them the information needed so we all can make informed decisions and ensure that the things that done for Snellville is specifically for Snellville, because that's what we're here for. We're specifically here for Snellville, and not necessarily paying attention to the national politics and what's going on there. Here in Snellville, like I said, the moment I retired and moved back home, if I list a lot of my accomplishments, me and my wife talk about this all the time. It might seem like either this man has nothing to do or he really loves his city. I'm going to put the latter. I really love my city. I've been here when I used to live in Stone Mountain. I used to teach at Georgia Tech, and I used to drive through Snellville. And I'm like, when I retire, my family, this is where we're moving to. And so far, it hasn't disappointed us with the things that we value here. My girls love their school. As a military man, it's so hard to make family in a lot of places because you're constantly on the move. But here, we met a lot of family, and it feels like we've known these people for decades. I know Snellville with the building that seemed to be the biggest thing on our hearts and minds right now. But I ask that Snellville continue to look forward and look at the things that we share and the things that we can help when the new people come into our city. How can we show them Snellville way? And help them and help guide them in our city and how we culturally do things here. I know if they come to the schools here, that's where Mr. CJ be at. If they come play basketball, whether it's 12U, 8U, that's where Mr. CJ is going to be at. They come to Briscoe Park or any festival or farmers market, you will see Mr. CJ there. And I'm going to always have a smile on my face and make sure that everybody feel how I feel when I come to Snellville. And I feel safe and I feel welcome here. Again, it doesn't mean that other things cannot be done, but once I win, we're getting there. We'll look at those things, but most importantly, we're going to keep it honest with Snellville. We're going to bring the information to them, and I invite you all to start coming to the city council meetings. Let's not do this only when elections coming up. I sat in a lot of empty meetings with only 1 or 2 bodies. And I would like to see an uptick in that. Your city government only is going to move based off your involvement. So we as a city need to be more consistent in supporting our city government, our small businesses. We need to support them. So let's be more consistent in wrapping ourselves around each other and building this thing that we call family here. That's what I look forward to doing.
All right. So that is time. I want to thank both Mr. Dan Russell and Mr. CJ Pitt for coming on tonight's Meet the Candidates Forum for Post 3 City Council. Best of luck to the both of you in your election. And y'all have a good night. And we can put them backstage now. And at this time, we're going to transition to our doubleheader to the second hour of tonight's candidate forum, which will be Post 5, which has the current incumbent running for re-election, Mr. Ty Warner, and Ms. Catherine Hardrick. But at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the great Shaniqua Levin, so we can bring her on stage, where she'll be taking over as the moderator for this second half, the second leg of our Meet the Candidate Forum for Snellville. See y'all later.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Edward, for inviting me to host this session. My name is Shaniqua Levin. I am the former secretary for the Gwinnett NAACP branch. And we will be having our candidates join us in a moment. Okay, great. Welcome again. Thank you for joining the Gwinnett NAACP for tonight's candidate forum. I appreciate you both being here. I'm Shaniqua Levin. I'm the former secretary for our branch.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the invite and the opportunity.
You're welcome. You're welcome. The way the format will go, you both will have 2 minutes to share an opening and whatever you'd like for our viewers to know about you and your candidacy. And then we will go back and forth on some questions. And then we'll give you all 2 minutes for closing again. And for each of the questions, you have about a minute to answer them. And I will have a timer going to make it fair. To get us started off, we will turn it over to our incumbent, Todd Warner, and we will get you started with your 2 minutes. Let us know all about you.
Okay, I moved to Snellville back in 1999, and I moved into the Summit Chase neighborhood and got involved with my HOA. It was a joy. And that was my first experience actually working with the government, because we were able to get sidewalks in our neighborhood by teaming up with the city of Snellville to pay for part of the sidewalks. It's the only way we ended up getting sidewalks here. And from that, I was invited to be on the planning commission. I served on the planning commission for a number of years, and then was asked to run for city council by the current mayor in 2007. I served for 4 years. It was a great learning experience, and then served on boards, commissions for the development board and the planning commission again, until I was once again by our current mayor, Barbara Bender, to run for election in 2019. And I have served the city since 2019 and am currently the mayor pro tem. The mayor pro tem sits in the chair when the mayor's not there. So I get to go to a lot of meetings and look over her shoulder and make sure that we have a continuity of government if anything were to happen. Can't hear you.
Yes, let's try that again. Thank you. We are at the 2 minute time, so I appreciate you sticking to that. All right, Catherine, we will turn it over to you. Please let us know about your platform.
Absolutely. Again, thank you so very much for having me tonight as a candidate, and I really and truly appreciate this opportunity to speak. Again, my name is Kat Hardrick, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, but I've lived in Snellville for over 25 years. I've raised my 3 children here. We're Comets. We bleed blue and silver. Go Comets. I've also had custody of my niece, who also graced the halls of South Gwinnett High School. And I'm a veteran. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a small business, and I'm a community activist. I definitely believe that we are only as strong as the least of these, as the scripture says. And so we have to do our job and making sure that we look out for everyone in our community. And I do that by hosting an annual MLK Day food drive that we feed over 100 to almost 200 people. And we have partners that help us make that happen. We have prayer warriors, we give hot meals, and we provide on-the-spot temporary resources to individuals in need. In addition to that, I was recognized as a community leader by a bipartisan women legislative body with the state of Georgia. And I was recognized for that, for my membership, the Yellow Ribbon Nikki T. Randolph Servant Leadership Award. And I also work with several other nonprofits where I sit on the board, where we help people in the community. So with that being said, I'm running because citizens have seen my work consistently showing up, consistently attending city council meetings, and being available to champion their voices, champion their concerns. Sometimes we're not able to come to those meetings. 7:30 is a time where people are at work, and I'm there so that I can make sure that I get the information, I can share the facts, and that I can help my fellow citizens in making sure that their voices are heard. And so I'm running from Snellville City Council so that I can do that. I can continue to do that in the position of council. And with that being said, that's why I'm running. That's a little bit about me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing. We're going to throw the next question to you. And that question is, the Snellville Council has recently approved a plan for 108 new townhomes on a 15-acre site off of Scenic Highway. Despite residents' concerns about traffic and school capacity, do you support that development decision? Why or why not?
And then that's a question coming back to me. Thank you so very much for that question. So I am for smart, controlled, balanced growth. And the citizens of Snellville asked that that property be denied. That was a request that citizens have made, and there have been several requests for citizens to make the request for development not to go through, because it's taxing on our infrastructure, it's taxing on our schools, it's taxing on our traffic, and the citizens of Snellville should not carry that burden. And we need to have leadership that's going to champion the voices to whom elected them, align with our comprehensive 2045 plan, and listen to the recommendations of our city's planning and commission, which is made up of volunteers. And if we don't champion those three things, then we have a serious problem. And the citizens of Snellville are a little fed up with not having their voices heard. And it feels like they are not being represented. And so, no, I am not in favor of that. Thank you.
Part two of that question goes back to you. Would you have pushed for additional traffic mitigation or infrastructure improvements as a condition?
Absolutely. So we should always be looking for a way that we make sure that we have ease, make it comfortable as possible to our existing citizens. Growth is inevitable. Let's just face it. We're going to have growth, but we need to make sure that we think things through and not just rubber stamp and let things go through. We need to make sure we have extensive traffic studies. And to my understanding, sometimes those traffic studies are not as extensive as they need to be to make sure that we have balanced growth that can feed not only the citizens that are here, but welcome new development at the same time.
Okay. The last part to that question is how would you manage future development along heavily traveled corridors like Scenic Highway to balance growth and traffic safety?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. Continue partnerships. We have to have direct partnership with GDOT, Gwinnett Department of Transportation. We have to have those relationships so that we can have a seat at the table, and also make sure we're championing the voices of our community members. Because I too live in the city of Snellville. I too have a commute that used to be 10 minutes or so. Now it's over 30 to 45 minutes, and it's just unbearable. And we have to find better ways that we can work together to ease this discomfort of growth for our citizens. And the best way we can do that is to have a partnership with our leaders and design plans that will help ease the burden on our citizens, reduce their time as best as possible, and create some other types of transportation avenues, as in right now, the Gwinnett County has that micro transit that will help with that. But that's a little bit of relief, and it is going in the right direction, but we still need to try to work out some things that will help alleviate that traffic for our citizens.
All right. Thank you for your answers. And we will be back to you in a moment. Our next set of questions is for candidate Warner. Okay. So I'll repeat the question. The Snellville City Council recently approved a proposal for 108 new townhomes on a 15-acre site off of Scenic Highway. Many residents have voiced concerns about increased traffic and potential strain on local schools. As someone who participated in that decision, can you share your reasoning for supporting or opposing that project?
Absolutely. I appreciate the question. One of the things that you look at when handling the zoning is what has come before you before on that property and what is it currently zoned for. So it was currently zoned for a business use, such as Best Buy or a big box store, and those typically generate a lot more car trips than residential does. You can usually look at about 3 to 4 cars in and out per unit for residential, whereas with commercial, you can have hundreds, you have a lot more traffic typically for commercial. Either that or the commercial doesn't survive. On that piece of property, it was originally, when I got, wow, that was quick. It was actually
Now you finish your thought.
looked at for apartments and a Costco. And either of those would have been a much, much heavier burden on the infrastructure. And I have worked already with both the Department of Transportation in Gwinnett and with the school board to make sure that the concerns of the citizens are mitigated as much as possible.
Okay. Since you did touch on the traffic, I will skip that question for you. The next question is, how do you plan to approach future development proposals along Scenic Highway to ensure that growth is balanced with traffic safety and community capacity?
The amount of open land along 124 is very, very limited. There is one large parcel that is still available to be developed, and it actually has a tree save area in the back of it that we put in place about 10 years ago that makes it where about 50% of that land cannot be developed. So when you're looking at what can be developed, there's not a lot of open land. So what we're looking at is we have many of our big box stores are going empty. I believe we have, and we have to make sure that we keep a vibrant community and support business so we can refill those stores before they become ag in our community. Because empty big box stores, empty retail centers certainly do not build community, and the last thing that we need here in the city.
Did you want to say anything else about the traffic portion of that before we move on?
Well, we've been working with both the Gwinnett Department of Transportation and Georgia Department of Transportation on future improvements for 124. We're also working to get an improvement for the intersection 3 lane at Ronald Reagan Parkway so we can have direct access into the hospital. The Georgia Department of Transportation already has plans to widen 124 to 6 lanes. And that would be devastating to our commercial corridor. Most of the traffic through that roadway is actually pass-through traffic. And there's not much we can do about that.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to start our next question with you, incumbent Warner.
All right.
Okay. This is a similar question. Many longtime residents worry that Snellville is growing too fast. With overdevelopment, the strains infrastructure and changes the neighborhood character. With limits, if any, would you support on density building heights, lot sizes, or similar metrics in various parts of the city?
There are already in place height limits in most of the city. You can only go 3 stories tall in almost the whole Snellville. The only place you can go above that is in our town center. And we've been working very hard for the last 20 years to develop a town center. And we finally have a toehold going there. As far as lot sizes, our UDO already controls that, and you have 2 competing interests. My opponent and other candidates have mentioned affordable housing. If you require larger lots, the cost of the infrastructure on a house is extremely high. So the larger the lot, the fewer the homes, which is wonderful. It protects the surrounding community, but it also makes them, places them out of reach.
Okay. Makes it out of reach. Okay.
Well, on that note, we had 2 houses that people opposed within the last year, I believe, in rezoning just south of 124 off of Tower Boulevard, Lenore Church. And we have 2 houses that have been built, and they're on the market for over $1 million.
Ooh, it's not the Snellville I moved out here for.
You want $1 million home? Don't we?
No, I don't. All right. The second part to that question is, would you support developing a growth management overlay in certain sensitive and historic zones?
Well, one of the sad things about Snellville is we don't have historic zones. The real history of the city was torn down before I moved here, and before Miss Hardwick here. We did not have any downtown to speak. We had a bunch of defunct strip centers. We had houses in the middle of the city. If there's a historic structure that people want preserved, I am absolutely open to that. Most of our community is made up of single family homes that were built between 1973 and late 80s. North of 80% of them are on septic systems. So it creates an issue as far as trying to preserve the quality of a community when you have aging infrastructure, private infrastructure like septic systems and such.
Gotcha. Okay. And the final part to this question, and for any of our viewers, feel free to put questions in the chat and we'll make sure that we get to them. The final part to this question is, how would you reconcile developer pressure with maintaining livability for existing residents?
Well, the whole goal of building a town center has been to improve the quality of life for the people of Snellville. So they have a place where they can go and enjoy here in the city, where they can park their cars to shopping, walk to restaurants, have a green space, a splash pad, access to the library, all in one spot. So that improves the quality of life. The development is not driven by, other than the town center, is not driven by the council or the mayor. It's actually driven by the property owners and developers going to the property owners and saying, hey, I want to buy your property. I'll give you X dollars for it. You have to look at what comes before you. You can't force things upon the community. So we try to balance that as much as possible. One of the developments that came before us within the last 2 years, we were able to take away, I think it was 90 townhomes and save over 7 acres of forested green space that will never be able to be developed.
Thank you. Thank you for answering these questions. And now we will switch it back over to Kenneth Hardwick. Okay, there we go. I will repeat the questions for you as well. Many longtime residents worry that Snellville is growing too fast. With overdevelopment, the strains infrastructure and changes neighborhood character. What limits, if any, would you support on density, building heights, lot sizes, and similar metrics in various parts of the city? You're muted.
Thank you. I appreciate the question, and thank you for letting me know that I was muted. I try to put it on mute when you're not talking so you don't hear the background noise. But in terms of that, we definitely need to have balance where the current comprehensive 2045 plan already, like the incumbent said, already outlined some things in terms of height restrictions and the spacing and whatnot. But one thing that we do when applicants are applying for development in the city of Snellville what happens far too often is their plans are requesting changing in zonings and to fit their plan versus what the citizens of Snellville have already agreed to. For example, they may change from an RS30 to a RS15, and therefore that changes the character of the city as well as what the citizens have truly expected the outcome to be. And when these changes happen, it changes the long-term plan and the long-term vision that the citizens have actually, expected to come and to be. With that being said, also my candidate.
You can finish your thought.
My candidate mentioned that I was about affordable housing. I don't think I've ever said anything about affordable housing other than we need to have development that is smart and controlled and balanced.
Okay, thank you. I will give you another moment to also clarify something. You
Yes.
said 15 and 30.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. So basically, we just had a applicant put in to sell his land, which everybody has the right to sell their land, and it was already zoned for an RS30. But the applicant requested that he can develop on the land for an RS15. And the citizens of Snellville rallied together, huge numbers over.
I'm sorry, could you just explain the difference between RS15 and RS30 for our viewers that aren't familiar with those terms?
And I know better than that. I have a podcast. We always explain. I'm so sorry. It's the lot of land. You have RS30, 30,000 square feet versus 15,000 square feet. So you have some people who have swimming pools, tennis courts, and they have their home. They have all this land that now they're going to have a development behind their home that is much smaller. And they may have, instead of 1-to-1, it may be 10 or 12 or something in that line.
Okay.
At least one citizen came to bring in her map and showed at least 12 lots that would be along her backyard.
Okay. Would you support developing a growth management overlay in certain sensitive area zones?
Yes. So we are, as the incumbent said, we really don't have any green space. We have Briscoe Park and we have Oak Road Park, which while the intent was for it to be a park before those decisions was made before I got here, but it's really not a full-blown park. And we really don't have any green space. And I know the town center was created so that people can have walkability and enjoy the restaurants. And it is absolutely beautiful. The truth of the matter is the citizens, the legacy residents, they're not walking to that place. They're not driving to that place. It's truly for individuals who are already in the town green, who live on the town green in those apartments. And there's very few of us who actually go to that area from our own comfort. It's not a place that we jump in our car and go to.
You may finish your thought.
And therefore, we need to create a space where citizens, green space, where we can protect our wildlife, where we can protect the last little tracts of grass that we have, so that we can not just be a concrete city. Like I said, I'm from Michigan. I came here so I could see green space and enjoy our community and know your neighbors. And right now we just are losing that character of Snellville. And I want to do everything I can to try to protect what little we have left.
If elected, how would you reconcile developer pressure with maintaining livability for existing residents?
Absolutely. One, I would challenge the fact that developers donate to candidates. And while that's not illegal, it's easier to recuse yourself in the voting process when developers present their application. Two, I would push back and making sure that their applications align with our comprehensive 2045 plan, and listen to our citizens who are the backbone of our community. They're the ones that contribute to this $16 million budget, and their voices need to be amplified. And we need to do better in actually reaching out to hear those voices so that we can consider their voices, champion their voices, at the decision maker table. So that's how I would push back.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to begin our next round of questions, and starting with you, candidate Hardrick. Snellville's recent political history includes lawsuits over closed-door meetings, mayoral conflicts with council, and controversy over ethics. What steps would you take to rebuild trust between council, mayor, staff, and residents?
Thank you for the question. Yes, you're absolutely right. The first female mayor in the history of the 100-year history of Snellville was Kelly Couts. And the first African-American city clerk was Phyllis Richardson. And I learned that history, being, again, I'm not from here. When I moved here 25 years, I learned about that history, and I didn't even know that even existed. You really don't even hear much about the first African-American city clerk in the history of Snellville. And I wish that we could do more in terms of celebrating all of the diversity that we have, because diversity is not just in the color of your skin, it's diversity in culture and the way with which you clothes and music, ideas and thoughts. Diversity is so much more than what sometimes we limit to just what our eyes can see. And I would like to champion.
You can finish your thought.
Champion that by hosting more cultural opportunities where we can highlight the diversity that we have, so that we can build trust, we can respect one another, and we can hold one another accountable so that people can do the jobs that they were hired to do by the people. Thank you.
Thank you. The next part to that question is, would you support stronger rules about executive sessions, meeting notices, or public records?
I would. Thank you for that. So as a person who has actually requested open records requests, it can become a financial strain. And I feel as though that we should not have to put a high cost on public records when it's a public record. And it's not the old days where you had to go into a file room, go down some stairs, dig through a filing cabinet. Today, we have access to documents by a click of a button. And I can't imagine having to pay the rate that I was told is the hourly rates of the person who would have to pull down that data. And I don't think that's right. And therefore, it limits the average citizen being able to access records. Public records should be made easy for citizens to be able to look up information and be able to know what's going on in their city. And two, we need to do a lot more than just being in city council. We need to come outside of that building and go into the communities, not some, but all. It's over 100 neighborhoods or just about that makes up the city of Snellville, and only a few neighborhoods get that white glove treatment. Thank you.
And the final question in this section is, how would you handle it if a council member or staffer was accused of misconduct or using their position improperly? Absolutely.
Thank you for that question. I definitely will follow the guidelines, follow all of the proper protocol, actually have that one-on-one conversation, give the opportunity for due process, because we're all allowed due process in this country. So everyone should have the opportunity for due process. Let them know what the accusation is, give them opportunity to respond, and follow the proper guidelines that are outlined within the city's charter in terms of how to handle those types of processes. And then set up guardrails to make sure that those things do not happen again. Make sure that our documents outline what is acceptable and what is not. We have an ethics code, the OCGA, actually taught the official code of Georgia annotated, is the Georgia's codes, and it outlines for ethics. And then Snellville Municipal Codes has an outline for ethics. And then we need to stay in alignment with that to make sure that everyone follows those rules. But we also need to make sure that we look in our human resources and our making sure that we don't have people who are leaders in one department and their significant other is a leader in another department. It makes it very difficult for staff to make any reports or follow up if you have leadership that are in romantic relationships or spouses and those sorts. So we do need to do something to make sure that we have parameters in place that people feel that they're being treated fairly and justly and not partially. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'm going to turn it over to incumbent Todd. Thank you. Oh, and you're muted, Todd.
I just said you're going to have to repeat those questions.
Yes, I will. No problem.
Going through a list of 4, it takes. I'm trying to take notes, but
no problem. Snellville's recent political history includes lawsuits over closed-door meetings, mayoral conflicts with council, and controversy over ethics. What steps would you take to rebuild trust between council, mayor, staff, and residents?
Well, number one, I was blessed that my wife at the time asked me not to run for re-election in 2011. So I went off of council right before all that hit the fan. That was 11 years ago. And we've worked very hard adopting ethics ordinances, making sure that we had a parliamentarian come in and give training, which we do every time a new council's elected. We have adopted the Georgia Municipal Association's ethics guidelines, which is a step above what is required under Georgia law. We also, as a city, make sure that every member of mayor and council goes to yearly training that's put on by the Georgia Municipal Association, so we understand what the best practices are for the various tasks that we have to do. I am here to look towards the future. I definitely have been part of the past, but relitigating the problems that Snellville had in the past doesn't help our citizens.
Okay. Would you support nope, wrong one. Let's try that again. Would you support stronger rules about executive sessions, meeting notices, or public records?
Well, we follow to the letter of the law, the Georgia code that puts requirements for open meetings, open records. And under Georgia law, open records, if a document is not already available online, then the lowest paid staff member that can do that job is what's charged to whoever puts forth the record. Now, my first term in office, we had meetings where we would, things were not online, let's put it that way. We had printed agendas and all the information. The only way you could get it was to come to the meeting and pick it up. And I fought to make sure that we were one of the first cities in Gwinnett to get everything that's in our agenda packet up online. It goes up online at least by Thursday before the meeting. I wish it was before that, but I also fought to make sure that nothing goes on a work session agenda and then gets acted on in the meeting, which directly follows that work session, because it's important for the public to be able, and the elected officials, to know what you're talking about, get input, do research before you take action on it. So everything that comes before mayor and council is on a work session agenda before it ever, usually 2 work session agendas, before it ever goes out into a public hearing.
And our final question in this section: how would you handle it if a council member or staffer was accused of misconduct or using their position improperly?
Well, as we saw previously, back from 2011 through, I believe, 2016, we use Georgia law. We follow our interior requirements. We follow Georgia law. I know some people have had questions because I have a personal relationship with another council member. And before I ever moved forward on that, I made sure to bring it to the attention of the city attorneys, the city manager, and the rest of mayor and council, because I would absolutely never want to put somebody in a situation where they felt that there was something untoward going on. And trust me, the person I'm in a relationship with has voted against me more since our relationship became public than before, when we just were council members.
Okay. All right, great. We do have some questions in the chat, so just give us a moment. So we can get those for y'all. While we're waiting for that, you both will have 2.5 minutes for your closing. Okay, so I'm going to start this question with Incumbent Warner. How will the candidates ensure that constituents are informed, educated, and involved in decision making?
Well, the information is available online. As I said, we make sure that all of the documentation that comes to mayor and council, unless it is required to be kept away from public, like purchasing property or negotiating contracts, all of that information is always put up online the Thursday before the meeting and before the work session, more importantly. So if there's something that is going to come before mayor and council, it is made public. The question we have is, how can you get the public to actually get engaged and get that information? Every one of our phone numbers our cell phone numbers is on our business card. It is on our webpage, the city webpage. I probably get more calls than anybody else, and we relish the interaction to hear back from folks. And there are times that we can't make a decision that the people want. There are legal reasons for that, because property owners have the same rights that the public does.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
fine.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to throw that question back over to candidate Hardrick. How will the candidates ensure that constituents are informed, educated, and involved in decision making?
Thank you for the question. Well, what I would do is what I'm doing right now. I have listening sessions. I request that citizens right now send me their top 3 concerns to electcatherinehardrick@gmail.com. You can find my email on my website, electcat.com. I currently am in the community. I'm talking to hundreds and hundreds of citizens, asking them what their concerns are. I feel that currently our elected officials, they stay in the building. As you just heard the incumbent mention, they do what they possibly can as far as getting the information out and getting people into the building. Well, the fact is, we are all working citizens, and the elected officials are too. They have full-time jobs. But citizens, when they get off work at 5 o'clock and they drive in 2-hour traffic, no one's trying to come to a city council meeting, even though it is two times a month at 7:30 at night. So one of the things I would like to champion is what we're doing now. We should be able to have a link where citizens can plug right in through Facebook, StreamYard. These services, they're free. You can do it right now. The city has a Facebook page. We can go live and have those things streamed. I don't know if that's something that they've considered in the past, but that's something that I would like to consider now, because we have to try to bring people into the building and we have to meet them where they are.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to start with you for the next question. I think that's what we did before. Yes, we started with them. Okay. I guess this isn't geared to any specific person, but whoever stated this and want to explain, it could be either one of you. What would you define as a sensitive area?
So a sensitive area, meaning either, I don't know if he means in terms of policing, that can be a sensitive area in that terms. I am not familiar, but what I would say, I beg your pardon?
I think that question might be geared to incumbent Warner. I feel like
Oh,
that was
okay.
something that said no. He's shaking his head no. Okay, so
No,
go ahead.
it was actually part of a question that you had asked about protecting sensitive areas, density.
Yes, we said yes.
restrictions,
We
and historical
yes,
areas.
yes.
So
We did say that. We didn't say.
I'm assuming
So if you-
he's.
Yeah, we
go
said.
ahead,
No, go ahead. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm guessing
Yes.
he probably want more of a definition of what that sensitive area is, and in my mind, it's something that's limited access, something that we may be at risk of, like you were saying, protecting of historical sites and so forth, like the Snellville Historical Society building. I mean, that's the original home. So is that what that caller
right.
is asking for,
They
or is that
definitely
what
are
your
asking
question
about our
is?
question. It was definitely, thank you for reminding me of that, incumbent Warner.
Certainly.
It was our question: would
And-
you support developing a growth management overlay in certain sensitive or historic zones? Sensitive
That's
also can be high traffic areas.
Mhm.
Some of those things that or that are very residential areas that are now becoming somewhat more commercialized. If you'd like to add on to that, otherwise we're going to toss it over to incumbent Warner.
Nope, you're fine. That's
Okay.
exactly it.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
As far as sensitive areas, of course, back in 2008, we adopted a stormwater plan. It was actually required by the state. But we went a step above what the state requires. They require a two-stepped buffer around all streams and waters, which is 25 feet and then 50 feet, both of which have various levels of restriction, but basically you can't build within 50 feet. And the city of Snellville at the time, we put forth another 25 feet to make sure that there's a minimum of 150-foot wide buffer along any stream, any body of water. So those are already protected in our code. And the real issue is on every zoning, making sure that they live up to what's in our code. And I make sure that I go out and I actually look at the construction while it's a background in construction. So if planning director crazy by going out there and saying, why is the stormwater protection not in place?
Okay, thank you for addressing that question, both of you. Okay, we have another question. Okay, and we'll start with you, incumbent Warner. How do you ensure quality of life for your current residents while making room for new residents?
Well, when we had the zoning that was of the Summit Chase Country Club, the defunct golf course, under our current code, abutting residential requires no buffer whatsoever. Mayor and council made sure that there is a buffer that was, off my head, I believe it was 30 undisturbed between the existing properties and those developments. So making decisions like that, making sure that you have planted buffers at the edges of property. So when a new development comes in, you don't get the lights from a parking lot shining in somebody's bedroom in the middle of night. It is very hard to balance the quality of life for the existing residents while allowing growth to continue.
I would think it's hard. We've got to find a way. All right, let's turn it over to you, candidate Hardrick. We're going to ask you the same question. How would you go about ensuring quality of life for your current residents while making room for new residents?
Absolutely. Like I said earlier, development is here and we need to find a good way to balance that. And one is better notification, which they just actually trying to make sure that citizens are made aware when blasting does take place. Citizens were not properly notified in previous developments, and it was just unsettling, if you can only imagine. In addition to that, we need to find some way to make sure we protect their homes. We have citizens who have cracks in their homes, and their homes are less than 5 years old, and they have a crack down their home, and yet they're not getting any relief because it does not border what the developer says needs to be bordered against in order for them to get some type of restitution and being made whole. And I don't think that's right. So we need to do better at making sure that we protect our citizens while we do have growth. Yes, we do need to make sure that we put parameters in place, that we have developers that have years of experience and that are going to protect our citizens while we welcome them, because we do. We need to, that buzzer, girl. Yes. For example, and I mean, it's loud too. Y'all doing a good job. I know. But one of the things I want to talk about is we have a development that was approved by the Wells Fargo on 78. And that development had to stop because the person ran out of money. You know, so now we, the citizens, I pass, that's my bank, that's the school I'm mentoring. I have to see that every single day because that person ran out of money because they had to connect to a sewer. So we need to do better at vetting the people who we allow to build in our cities, because now we, the taxpayer, we're stuck with that.
Okay. Thank you. That is our last set of questions from our viewers. And what we're going to do now is give you both the opportunity to share closing thoughts. And you will each have 2.5 minutes to do that. And if you finish before the 2.5 minutes, you won't get the buzzer. Since last time we started with you, Incumbent Warner, we're going to kick it off with candidate Hardrick this time.
All right. Okay. Yes, thank you so very much. So again, family, I'm running because, like I said, this is my third time. 4 years ago, I ran against this same candidate, incumbent, and I lost by 200 votes. We ran in 2023, and we went into a runoff by 16, and we were short in the general in the runoff by just under 60 some odd votes. We got 47%, and I didn't think I was going to run. I made a public statement that I wasn't going to run anymore. I felt that Snellville said that I wasn't the person that they wanted to champion their voices, and lo and behold, that's changed. Citizen upon citizen upon citizen has come to me and asked me to run for them because now they realize that they want change. They're tired of status quo. They're tired of people who are befriending them, misleading them, and then betraying them, and they're tired of it. They contribute to this $16 million budget that Snellville has approved, and yet their voices are not being heard. And that is unacceptable. And I'm here and I'm running today because citizens want their voices to be heard. They want it to be listened to and not lectured. They want their ideas to be welcomed and want to be championed, and not someone that's going to tell them after they get up and speak that their concerns are not heard, to the point to where a citizen was in tears, a taxpayer. That's unacceptable. And we cannot have leadership that is basically going to lecture you for having an opinion, one that is welcome. So no, you don't have to check the boxes and volunteer in places that they say you need to volunteer. No, you don't have to be on the board that they say you need to be on the board. Or by the way, I've applied for all of those boards and I've been denied. And then you do not have to do the things that they say you need to do. You only need to be over the age of 18, register to vote, and live in Snellville 12 months. And with that, I am going to continue to run because we need to stop letting people tell us what we can and cannot do in order to say that we love our city. Because I love my city. I've been here for 25 years, and I will continue to stand up and fight not only for my city, but for my citizens as well. So I'm asking you to vote for me on November the 4th. Early voting starts on Tuesday, October the 14th at Snellville City Hall. And if you want to learn more about me, please go to electcat.com, and that's cat with the C. Thank you so very much. And I would love to speak with you and earn your vote, because I will not take for granted your vote and your voice. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Now we'll turn it over to Incumbent Warner.
I don't know that I can beat her use of time. She is perfect. One of the things that came up was the accessibility of our elected officials, how we hide in the building. I, for one, have not been hiding. I've been at every single farmer's market that has taken place this year. I make sure that I wear my Snellville garb. I have my name tag on. I try to make myself as accessible as possible. I'm at every event that the city has on the town green. I miss some of them over at the park. With the exception of Food Truck Fridays. Food Truck Fridays just are for me to get to. But I'm there, again, I make sure I'm wearing my Snellville shirt. I've got my name tag on. I walk around, I talk to the people. I try to be as accessible as possible. People want to take advantage of that. I'm open to it. We have right now a change going on in the city council. And we have two people who have years of experience, actually decade of experience, that are rotating off. And we have two council members that have a total of 2 years experience each. And they're fabulous council members. They're very dedicated. They work very hard and making sure they have the best interests of the city covered. That being said, the mayor is term limited. She's going to have to rotate off in 2 years. I have over 20 years of experience working in all different facets of the city of Snellville. Connections with everybody on both sides of the state house, from the governor to the director of Gwinnett DOT. If there's an issue with water, if there's an issue within the county, I am able to address those. We need leadership that is consistent, that is constant, and that is, yes, beholden to the citizens. I try to be that. I'm often painted as being not there for the citizens. I don't know what else I could do to be more accessible, or to be more open. But I do ask for your vote, ask for you to vote for a consistent, intelligent, well-educated, as far as the items coming before the city council person, and that would be me.
Well, thank you both for giving us your time today and sharing your platform with your potential voters. We appreciate you for being here and for having the courage to run and putting your hat in the game to step up and be a leader for Snellville. Thank you both, and good luck on the 4th.
Thank you.
Good luck, Kat.
Thank you. Same to you. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
And just a few updates for our viewers at home that want to know what's going on with your local Gwinnett chapter of NAACP. So we have another candidate forum coming up on Sunday, October 12th, this Sunday at 7 p.m. You can stream it live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter at Gwinnett NAACP. You can also, we have another event that we're excited about. It's called the Power of the Ballot Town Hall. You can join us for an in-person, for an important conversation about how your vote impacts everything from local elections to statewide policy. This town hall will highlight the critical role of civic engagement and building a more just and equitable Gwinnett. That is Tuesday, October 14th at 7 p.m. at the Norcross Cultural Arts Center, 10 College Street, Norcross, Georgia. You can register at www.bit.ly. That's www.bit.ly/power of the ballot. This town hall will feature a panel of community leaders and policy experts who will break down who's on the ballot, the significance of the Public Service Commission election, and how decisions made at the local level directly impact everyday life. We also are excited that our state conference is coming up. And our state conference, we're going to be moving our general meeting that we have to October 16th at 7 p.m. due to this Thursday's state NAACP convention taking place at the Marriott Gateway it's by the airport. It's from October 9th through 11th. Online sales have closed. You can buy tickets in person. Again, everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and make sure to catch up with all of our candidate forums. If you missed them, we have them on our social media feeds. Please go back and check them all. Make sure that you are an informed and educated voter. If there was a question that wasn't answered, please reach out to our candidates so that way you can make sure you are aligned with what their platforms are. They align with you.
Amen.
Everybody have a good night. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you for
And support
having
your
me.
local NAACP.
Will do. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a blessed night, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.